Good morning and welcome to Connections Community Church post-show. We are met here with Phyllis and Laura, as well as Kathy and myself, Isaac. I am the student ministry pastor here at Connections Community Church, and we are so excited to have Phyllis and Laura with us from Fight Ministries from the Dominican Republic. And we're just going to chat about what they do and what they shared on stage with us. So we're just going to start with first, how are you guys? Welcome to the U.S.
Yes, thank you.
How long have y'all been here so far? Not to Michigan, but in the U.S.
2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, about 2 weeks.
Okay. How
we
far
came
are you
in
going
Florida.
around? Okay.
Yes.
So most of your time was spent in Florida first before coming here?
Half of our time was in Florida. And then we came up here. We were super blessed by somebody giving us a cabin up in Lake Silver. So
wow.
We relaxed and we enjoyed God's creation with the leaves. And now we're enjoying the snow.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you spent some time in Canada, right?
I did. Vancouver.
Awesome. How long were you there?
A year and a half.
A year. Okay. So you're not new to snow.
No.
Okay.
But ever since moving back to my country, I'm like, I would love to see snow again. So here it is.
Well, you brought it. So thanks.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, this is great. This is, we just moved back from Germany. So we were doing ministry in Germany, doing youth ministry there. And we didn't really experience snow there, even though we were there for almost 2 years. And so this is our first stateside snow. So thanks. I appreciate it. Kathy may not so much.
Yeah, I go to Florida for the winter now. But I used to drive. I had a job where I drove like 800 to 1,000 miles a week in the snow for the last 9 years. It was very snowy so during the winter. So I'm like, if I don't have to be here, I'm not anymore.
Wild. That is absolutely wild. Yeah. Well, again, we're so thankful and grateful that you're here and visiting us. We as a church participate in ministry with you by supporting you financially, having teams go to you. And so for anybody who may not know, and I know you covered it a little bit in the service, but in the most essential, simple way, who is Fight Ministry? What does Fight Ministries do?
Great. We are Fight Ministries. It stands for Freeing Individuals from the Grasp of Human Trafficking. We've been in the Dominican Republic since 2012. I personally moved there in 2012. Laura is a native, so she's born and raised in the Dominican. Speaks English because she went to a school in which she learned from a young age, so she speaks it perfectly. We first started off not really knowing what the Lord was calling us to, and after research, checking out other homes within the country, orphanages, the Lord just laid on our heart that there was, an undercover evil that was happening with children being sex trafficking, and we started a safe house. And so we rehabilitate child victims of sex trafficking at the refuge, and we offer things like education and therapy and arts and crafts. And this year we added a health department in which Laura heads up.
Awesome. Laura, say more about what it is that you do and the role that you fill there.
Yeah, so at Fight, I am the nutritionist and the social worker. And alongside the psychologist, we walk alongside the girls navigating their trauma and their journey there. And so when they come court-ordered. We take them to doctor's appointments, check for pregnancy tests, STDs, do blood work, dental, eye care. And so that's something that I've learned being here. They don't have access to most of the time because most of our girls come from low-income families. And so I've gotten the comment of, it's my first time at this doctor. I've never, seen a dentist before. And so it's such a gift for them to be able to get this health care. And it's something I shared in the message is that, it's something when you look at it, their bodies were being used. And so it's something that we're also diving deep into healing and redeeming. And the Lord is giving us that wisdom as well as a provision to do that. And so we do want to be able to walk alongside them so they get to know about why is it important to eat healthy and get to know their bodies as well and how it functions, but also be there with them as they navigate trauma and the impact of that trauma in their bodies when they're in therapy. And some of the girls are in denial for most of the beginning of their time there because they don't know what they're being rescued from. Mm-hmm. Something I also share was that not all trafficking is abduction, which is something I thought it was. It's a lot of deception. And so when we give them that education of what sex trafficking is, and in therapy they learn about it, there's another journey of grief and that can be with anger, with a lot of stress in their bodies, and that also has an effect. There is a correlation with high stress and vitamin D levels, as well as magnesium levels. So it affects, from like their sleep to the way that they perform in school and their learning, because that's a big part of the program, and that's education. Most of the girls don't know how to read and write by the age of 15, 17. And so it is a holistic approach, and health is something that we're diving deep into this year, and I'm honored to be a part of that.
Yeah, and when we opened in 2022, we really were learning ourselves. I'm an educator by trade, and God's really just like opened our eyes with our girls. Like we learned right alongside of the new girls that come. We've housed 29 girls now, rehabilitating 29. Currently, we have 6 girls in our home. But when the girls started coming in and we just started talking about sex trafficking, we realized, they don't know what sex trafficking is. That was mind-blowing coming from America, where we're seeing it on TV. We see it on the news. We see it everywhere. There's a lot of education going on, but in the Dominican Republic, it wasn't. And so the girls come in and they would say I wasn't sex trafficked, and it was very obvious that somebody was selling them. And we started hearing from girls saying like, I was working. Prostitution is legal in the Dominican Republic, over 18. And so our girls look much older, when they have makeup on and they're dressed up and stuff. I think of one of our girls, her name means new beginning, and at the refuge she can start a new beginning. And this girl, when she first came, she was consistent in saying, I was not sex trafficked. I was a willing participant in this. I received money. But the reason that she received money is because she was looking for food and for housing and for clothes. Her basic necessities were not being met in her own home. And so I think of a time where I sat her down and really, I really do just pray to the Lord and ask him to help me. Although I'm not a part of counseling, I do sit with girls, and when they have problems and such, both of us do and counsel them. But I remember sitting with this girl and asking her, if you're saying you're a willing participant, because they were canceling her interview to go to court. Like they were like, we're not going to interview her. We're just going to cancel the case. Like she was a willing participant. Our laws are different in the Dominican Republic. It's not like the U.S. where you have to prove that a child, you don't have to prove that a child was a willing participant in prostitution. In the Dominican, you do. So this child kept saying, no, I was a willing participant. I received money. It was my job. And I asked her, the first time that this happened to you, were you a willing participant? And she didn't answer, and she put her head down, and she just began to cry. And I told her, you weren't a willing participant. The first time, you did not want to do that. And afterwards, the kids can become disassociated and desensitized. And then after that, it's already happened once. When you're looking for food and housing and clothes and the basic needs, and someone's going to give you a couple dollars, you've already done it. And so they really don't have a choice. And I asked her in the end, could you ever say no? What would happen? And she said, they'd kill me. I'm like, then you can't say that it was a job. It never was a job. And so that's a part of our sex trafficking rehabilitation program. Like we actually go through teaching them, what is a family unit? What does a mom and a dad look like? Our families are very broken within the population that we're working with. And so we set that foundation and we teach the girls, you are not a part of getting money for your family to eat, to pay the electric bill. That's not your job as a child. That's your parents' job. And so when they're thinking, I have to come up with ways to like help my family. No, you don't. That's not a part of your job. And so, and then teaching about sex trafficking as well.
Yeah, that's incredible. How often are parents or families aware that their daughters are a part of what's happening?
Good question. Well, something unfortunate is that families are involved in the trafficking as well. There's a term called family trafficking, and it's seen mostly in rural areas, very low income areas where their families consent for or participate in giving in their boy or girl's body for money. And we do have those cases at the refuge where their family were the participants of that. And other times they see it as, my child is being rebellious and is
Correct.
Around not very good influence. And they see it as something that, they're just being rebellious, they're being teenagers and it's puberty and this is going to be a season, but they don't know what's going on. They don't know what they're being exposed to. And so a parent might think they're going to school in the morning, but actually they're not. They're going into participating into these things.
And I think parents, they know that their kids are going out at night and they're not listening. And so, yes, their behavior is bad in the aspect of they're not listening to their parents like any other kid. But they're not exactly like bad kids. What's happening is, they're being forced to leave their homes when the kids do leave at night or during the day. So we get a lot of kids coming in. Even CPS will say stuff like before they drop a kid after a rescue, and they'll say, now behave. And I'm always like, don't say that to her.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter what her behavior was. There was a crime that was committed against her. And she needs to understand that. And that's why they're also confused. Because when you have other adults saying to you, like, you need to behave. No, there was a crime. This was sexual abuse against you. And you have to really teach them that. Like, you have to teach it was sexual abuse.
Yeah, that's wild.
It is so sad.
You mentioned you've been around for 3 years, right? So how did the ministry get started? I mean, I know you mentioned a little bit, you're from New York, you were praying, and this is where you felt the Lord was leading you. How did you get there and get started, get established?
I lived in Florida, and I just woke up one night and the Lord just put on my heart to find a job in the Dominican Republic. I'd never been there. I didn't know where it was. I didn't know what language they spoke, but I was a fairly new Christian. I was asking her. I didn't get up at first, and then I did get up and I found a job, and I thought, no, I'm not applying to this. The Lord had been working in me with testing. I had never heard of testing before, and he had already tested me in something else before this with another job. So when this came about, I was like, I know what testing is. Like, I just have to do it, and then God's not going to hire me. It was another job, and they didn't hire me. So I thought, okay, well, somebody said, you're disobedient if you don't apply to this job in the DR that you found, that you feel the Lord calling you to. And I was like, I'm not disobedient. Like, I really had a Paul moment with God where he knocked me off my horse and radically changed my life. And I've been chasing after him ever since. And Lara's had the same exact experience with the Lord. She's on fire for the Lord and loves him. And so I applied, but the whole time I thought, the Lord is not calling me to the DR. Like, I would like to go to Hawaii. I would like to go to North Carolina. Like, I do not want to go to Africa. I do not. And the DR just wasn't on my radar. Like I said, I didn't even know anything about it. And so I applied, and then they hired me. And I thought, well, that's not supposed to be the end. Like, I thought you're supposed to say no, like the last job. And they said now, the teaching job that I had gotten. I knew that wasn't what the Lord called me to. I stood in my classroom on my last day, and I was like, do you want me to sell everything, put it into storage? I was trying to take a leave of absence from my teaching job, and they were like, no, you got to quit. You haven't been here long enough to like hold it for a year and take a furlough. And so I had to actually quit. And so in the end, they said, come now. There's somebody who's on medical leave, and we need somebody. And I was like now? And they were like, yeah, now. And so I had to leave teaching, and it took a little bit of time, but in 4 weeks, I touched ground on the Dominican Republic and looked for somebody who had a sign with my name. And everybody and their mom was against it, saying, this is so dangerous. What are you going to do? I'm like, I'm just following the Lord. My pastor was like, do you have a mission board? And I was like, I don't even know what a mission board is. And he's like, do you have money? I'm like, I'm a teacher who has 2 jobs waiting tables along with teaching in Florida. He's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Isn't that God's job? Like, doesn't the Bible say that, like, I don't have to worry about clothes and food? Like, he'll take care of me. And my pastor was like, yeah, but come into my office because I want to talk to you, Yeah. But I did. I ended up leaving in 4 weeks. And another couple from my church, they had come out to Florida. And like I said, in the last sermon, we just kind of went around talking to people, and then slowly but surely the Lord was uncovering what was going on, and we were like, this is it. This is the Lord's calling us to. And so by an act of God, we were walking in town one day, going someplace. I was in flip-flops. I had no plans of like hiking a mountain, but somebody came up to us, a complete stranger, and asked us, are you guys the Americans looking for land? And we said, yeah. And he said, you want to follow me? He was on a motorcycle, and Luke was with us. And I was like, yeah, sure. We're all crazy. Obviously, we all moved to the Dominican Republic. So we followed him, and we followed him off the concrete road to the dirt road to the forest, all the way through a river. And we pulled up to this place that was just mountainside, all mountains. And he's like, this property is for sale. And it was extremely cheap. We were looking at property that was hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this property was about 50,000 US. We got him down a little bit more, and Connections actually helped us. We sent out an email to our churches, and we were like asking, can everyone just give a little bit? And we bought it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah. And then he left, and it was like, okay, just the man came to us, showed us the property, and then, yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
It is wild.
God.
Radical obedience, right?
Right,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how many buildings do you currently have for services, for families, for children, whoever's is available there?
Currently, we have 7 buildings. So we have a full gymnasium where the girls work out. Laura's also helped develop that side of the ministry as well, exercising and working out. I have a home that I live with my daughter and my grandson. That it's kind of up on the top of the hill, and you can go down the hill over to the girls on the other side. There's a river that help me.
Goes through.
I only got a Spanish word in my head. Okay, goes through. Yeah, it crosses over to the other side. Sometimes Spanish and English are both battling in my head what country I'm in. And so they're on the other side, and there's a home for our girls in which they live, and they have moms that rotate out throughout the day. So during the day at school, and then at night there's moms. It can be very hectic and violent and just really overwhelming at the refuge. And so no one lives there but myself. And so all the moms rotate in and out every single day to give them time to like reset and come back. And even then, they're overwhelmed sometimes.
They have their own rooms,
Yeah.
their own space.
Right.
Yeah. And then we have we have an office building where Laura has an office, psychologist, secretary, mission teams coordinator, things like that. We have a classroom. We have a kitchen and dining area. Maintenance, our mission teams housing. We have housing for our teams. Now we can house up to about 14 people.
Oh, wow.
We're hoping to see you guys in
be awesome.
2026.
Yeah. That's awesome. And Laura, how did you get acquainted with, introduced to this ministry? How did you find them?
Yes. So I went to Vancouver, Canada to study nutrition, and I thought that was where I was going to stay. And then that's where I accepted Jesus. And he radically transformed my life and called me back to my country to serve. And so for the next 4 or 5 years, I served in ministry and in, networks and connections. I met Phyllis. I learned about Fight. I learned what Fight was doing. And to be honest, as a local, I had no idea about, how prominent sex trafficking is in the DR, which is actually the 3rd country with sex trafficking and exploitation. And so to me, it has been a learning experience, even as a local, because it's something that even though it's not hidden, it's very subtle. And so last year, I was praying to serve more in the nutrition and health area. I want to serve the Lord in that area because it's my career and my passion. And since I became a believer, I had prayed that the Lord would allow me to help other young girls. I didn't know what that was going to look like. And so last year, Phyllis and I connected, and I knew that was the next season for my life. And I did not feel equipped at all. But yes, just like Phyllis said, the Lord went before me. And ultimately I said, God, you are the one giving me that wisdom, that grace. And it's been a blessing. Yeah. Being part of the team.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, we don't have much time left, but if somebody wanted to partner with you, individual or whatever else is happening, what can they do? What are your needs? Take a minute to plug that.
Okay. Today they gave out cards, so hopefully you're given a chance to fill those out and hand them back to us. If you weren't in the service today, you could also go to our website. You can find more information there. You can also find our emails. There's also an opportunity to give on the website, give to our staff as well.
What's your website URL?
I'm sorry, fightministries.org.
Fightministries.org.
Yeah. We're hoping in 2026 to have more mission teams. We're signing them up starting now. And so we didn't mention this in the service, but we're looking for more missionaries on the mission field. Just like Laura shared a little bit, she thought her heart was to be in Vancouver and she wanted to stay there. And she had been praying and praying to God for an opportunity there, and he closed the doors, right? And so I love how she always says, the Lord called me back to my home country to serve. And that, usually we're like, no, you leave your home country. And here God is like saying, no, you're going to go here and stay there. And that's just beautiful, because really, we need to start in our church. We need to start by giving God everything in our own home church. I truly believe that, like, if you're even thinking about missions or doing something, it's like you need to tithe your money to your church. Like Pastor Perry was saying, like, the money there also goes globally. Y'all are helping outside of just the walls here and the needs that are here, but also serving in children's church, serving in the worship band, wherever it is, whatever God's skilled you. Start now with these things, before God's going to, trust you with much. Like, you have to be trusted with the little. And what are you doing now? So we hope that the Lord's calling people to the Dominican Republic to be missionaries, because I want to see more Americans walking with my Dominican and Haitian staff, using the education and the skills that have been taught here. I mean, it is a blessing. It is a privilege to come out on this soil. It's true. And we want to be able to use that alongside our staff and to teach them. And so, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for being here.
Thanks for
We're
having
so
us.
happy to be partners with you,
Yeah.
and that you were able to come and share about what's happening in the DR, especially with your ministry. That's incredible. Thank you for doing what you do and for being radically obedient to what Lord has called you to. Thank you all so much for joining us for this post show. Remember, we're Connections Community Church here in Schoolcraft. We would love to have you here. But wherever you are, whatever you're doing, the Lord is with you. Remember, we love you, but more than that, Jesus loves you. See you and have a great week.
Amen.
Bye.
Bye.